Hello, I'm Tag,
And this is Bob.
and you're listening to Bob and Tag Talk. Before we start the show, I'd like to point out that the topics discussed on Bob and Tag Talk are Bob and Tag's personal opinions and comments. We don't intend to cause harm or offense, we are simply providing our personal commentary on subjects that we find interesting. Hello everyone, we are back with Witter time, and today we're going to be discussing the festival economy. What is the festival economy? How is it different from the traditional economy, and how it makes its money in India? So what according to you is a festival economy?
So the festival economy, what we mean is like the religious season whenever it starts. So we have our own Indian or the traditional calendar. So all our weddings, festivals, and then even any other ceremonies
Right.
start at around after August,
Right.
September.
Yeah.
And then it goes on until March, April, and then sometimes even until May.
Yeah.
And then there are different festivals, and each of these festivals have a big impact on how we shop, what we plan to do, and what are our spendings, increased in spendings, eating out, shopping, and so many other things, buying clothes.
Exactly, our entire consumption around festivals is a lot.
It's a lot, and it's all planned ahead as well.
Yeah. So not only are we talking about the festival economy, it's also more about the religious ceremonies you mentioned.
Marriages,
right?
yes, especially marriages. Even the marriage season and the festival season, it's all very similar. And even marriages are planned little bit ahead, and then the expenses and the spending on marriages has been increasing a lot. So people have been like going for destination weddings, and then even religious ceremonies and everything. The spending has increased a lot.
Right.
But partly because of inflation, and partly because of people are ready to spend more on these things.
I think it also includes, like you mentioned before, charitability. So whenever there are some ceremonies, some religious Hindu ceremonies especially, we usually have something called dhanam.
Yes.
So those sort of things.
Generally are donations to temples. And when we say temples, the temple economy is completely different as well. So when we have something like, let's say, people travel to Tirupati, and they plan ahead, they travel. The travel economy is completely based on that as well. They organize big buses, tours, then go to the temple, donate a lot, and then buy whatever food, travel, hotels, everything. So there have been two different parts. So there's this completely formal economy. I think travel, hotels are a little bit formal, but there are a lot of informal side as well, where you buy and spend on some puja items, ceremonies, and some people buy gold, donate gold, and so on. Some people donate clothes, some people donate money, and it's a completely different thing. So all these things, it's very difficult to track, and you don't see the valuations in the actual economy. So it's all different. So now there's a little bit of formalization that is creeping in the form of payments and so on. But there's a long way to go, and a lot of businesses have learned from these kind of things, and they are also trying to do it better, being more efficient, and then they make a lot of more profits in the form of idols or flowers. And agrarian economy is also very much related. Our plant cycle of flowers, when we plant flowers, when we harvest them, and it should be ready when festival season starts. And a lot more seasonal workers are also hired a lot. And so, for example, even in the time of harvest festivals or planting, more workers are employed and so on, and more sellers are employed, more markets are created, and even like crackers, right? Whenever, at least when it comes to Diwali, everyone knows that shopping, buying gold, and then gifting and food, sweets, everything else is. But apart from that, there is also a lot of like pop-up cracker shops will come up suddenly in a lot of different places. There's a lot of regulation and things like that. So formalization is becoming a little bit quicker and quicker. And I think as years go on, the wedding, the temple festivals, and any other festivals will become more formalized, and we'll see more businesses which are traditional businesses will turn into more corporate kind of structure. It is much possible that we see in the next few years.
So I have a question. So you're saying it is becoming more formalized. So right now it's still in the process of slightly informal.
True.
So then I would assume that it is very difficult to account for the profit and losses made in such an economy right now.
Definitely. So I'm sure that if for cash-based transactions, it's really, really difficult. And for most small businesses, as long as some religious and temple-related things, they don't come under formal taxation. And government purview is very, very less. So it comes outside that purview. And it's not easy to track. And so the profits and losses and even how big kind of transactions are taking place is very, very difficult to keep track of. And that economy goes on every year in a season. It's very difficult. Suddenly there's a surge in transactions, savings and then spending, and then slowly it subsides down. And so it's very difficult to track.
Okay. Let's say it does become formalized. Let's say that, we see a lot more profit and loss account bookkeeping and all is like much more better than it is now. How much do you think all of these economies will actually contribute to India's global?
I mean, we actually calculate the GDP of the country. It's already part of the GDP of the country.
Oh, okay.
It's just that the percentage we don't exactly know. So now, like for example, most of the businesses, as long as they have bank accounts, as they do this kind of more UPI transactions, more banking transactions, so it is a little bit easier to track now. Probably this has been the after effect of demonetization. So people will be easily able to track these kind of things. But taxation is completely different, so it will be different for different sectors. For example, for temple related things, there is absolutely zero taxation. It's all kind of charitable endowments, trusts and so on.
Right.
The taxation will be part of taxation kind of structure.
Okay.
And then when we actually see this kind of revenues that people are generating, that can be going forward, will be easier to track and so on. That's what we have been aiming towards, to keep track. And then at least for the GDP, our GDP actually jumps up when the festival season starts.
Yeah.
Services, and then like even what called any expense rates, spending, consumption. It's called personal consumption.
Right.
Everything gets picked up during these kind of seasonal economy.
You mentioned the holiday spending also. We get a lot of sales, especially during holiday spending.
So it's very common in the all over the world that there are certain festivals, there are certain holidays where people save and then choose to spend.
Right.
So in the US, it's Thanksgiving, it's Christmas. There's a complete that's actually an idea that there's even the stock market goes up during this kind of Thanksgiving, Christmas, and the spending increases, consumption increases.
Right.
And in India also, it is little bit, the season is a little bit different. So it's the agrarian season of harvesting festivals. After that, there is a lull, and then the actual season when the Ganesh Chaturthi starts. So that's when we see our spending increase, and then Diwali is the peak. And then once Diwali ends, there's a lot of marriages, and then marriage economy is completely different. So people have been spending more and more on destination weddings or more event kind of spending. And then there's a formalization, little bit of formalization there. That is wedding planners. And then even the the halls, marriage halls. People are probably now more people are hosting weddings in 5-star hotels or even palaces. They lease palaces and so on.
And I went to a wedding recently also. So I was just talking to the bride and groom about how they did the planning and all of that. So even planning the actual mandapam, I don't know.
The venue.
The actual venue's interior decorations and all, even that takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of people. So they hired specific people even for the interior.
Now because of inflation, everything is in lakhs.
And same with photography, videography.
The interesting part is because of all these software and other things like that, the cost of photography usually is coming down, but the cost of flowers, decoration, everything is going
up. Right.
So as time moves on, it will become more and more. Inflation has a lot of effect there. And food has increased as well.
Definitely.
So generally in weddings and venues, you have to arrange food for all the guests. That is a big cost in itself. And as time goes on, Like for example, a lot of hotels, right? They also do catering. So a lot of caterers come up in this kind of seasonal things, different catering things. So they also earn a lot. So the formal economy is already there. It is just that it is not very easily seen, or it can't be easily tracked. That's about it. So now there have been more startups like for weddings and things like that, for wedding organizers and so on, event managers, event planners and so on. So that formalization has already happened, but there are a lot of different things where it has not happened. So that will soon come.
This reminds me of one more thing also. Marriage brokers are also like in the industry. So
they're also getting formalized.
Yeah.
So apart from marriages, we also have specific religious events. So in the Hindu religion itself, we have, like we said already, there is from the start of Ganesh Chaturthi till the end of the harvest festivals. We have specific months. We have certain festivals that come up. And then people plan their weddings also at the same time. And then these are all auspicious days. So just like in the US, how we have Christmas and Thanksgiving, and even in Jewish Hanukkahs and so many different religious ceremonies, and even Eid and so on also comes under the same season as well. So a lot of food and services and consumption, shopping and everything. Now we see a lot of offers that have come up during that, especially electronics, consumables. All those things are picking up during that particular time. So this is a specific season, and generally in abroad, right, Europe and then US, we don't see these kind of lot of festivals. But they have something even like they have music festivals. They have music festivals, and then at least in UK the Glastonbury festival goes on. And in the US also there is a lot of other jazz festivals that go on, and Taylor Swift Eras Tour also has set a new record and so on. So there are also different festivals like that. So there are different businesses that are actually participating in it, and they're making a lot of revenue and things like that.
Interesting. It's interesting how all of these, I don't know if you can call them informal, but it's just like
it's kind of something parallel to the traditional economy. It's more fun. It's more event based,
art based, something like that. So it's interesting how they contribute just as much to the economy as the traditional.
So the only thing is the traditional, even though they earn a lot of revenue, we actually don't have an exact amount of revenue what we have from the other parallel economy like temples and weddings and ceremonies and so on. There has been another popular question that is floating around, and then a lot of conversation that is happening around is based on Radhika Gupta's tweet. She's the CEO of Edelweiss. So she had actually mentioned that why don't we have a extended holiday or a festival period where we have holidays for most of the workers and so on. In similar like how for Thanksgiving and for Christmas we have an extended holiday period in US. So a lot of people have been saying that it's actually a good idea, but the thing is we already have a lot of religious holidays, and the stock market actually has a lot of calendar days, and even Diwali is actually a day where a stock market is open for half a day. So it's a little bit difficult to actually enact that, but it makes a lot of sense. So traditional businesses and whoever follow the religious calendars, they close their business accounts on before Diwali, and then Diwali is the start of the new year for accounting and so on. So it makes a lot of sense, but we'll have to see probably as time goes on. If we have an extended 1 week holiday for Diwali or whole nationwide, then it will become a big celebration. It will become a cause for a lot of spending, consumption, and then people will probably spend more on food, and that will actually increase the GDP. So we have a lot of holidays, but if we can pack it into 1 week, it will be probably more beneficial. That is something to think about.
All right. Okay. So that's been the festival economy, and we talked about what exactly comes in a festival economy, how different it is from the traditional stock market, and why it's such a huge player in India, especially with all of its traditional religious festivals, whatever that goes on.
And actually there has been also a lot of learning for actually entrepreneurs as well. Like Kishore Biyani has been very vocal about how he learned a lot when he started Big Bazaar, from actually observing and learning from how Tirupati temple is managed, how they manage the crowds. There's a lot of learning for the formal economy also from these kind of temple and religious things.
This reminds me of one more thing also. So I've heard somewhere that the Dabbawalas were also an inspiration for a lot of like good management.
They have a Six Sigma delivery practice for which a lot of entrepreneurs have been inspired by them and learning from them and so on. So there's a lot of learning that we also can do from all these things, and as more formalization happens, there's a lot of opportunity in these kind of economies to earn more and to create kind of a different kind of a living from a normal living that you want to have.
Yeah, and I think that's a good spot to end it there today. Hey, thanks for listening to Bob and Tag Talk. Please consider following us on our Instagram and Facebook pages. We put out weekly summaries of the topics discussed on the podcast. And if you found this episode informative, please like, share, and subscribe.